Hey, welcome back. It's Sarah from Roadworthy. I wanted to do a little response video to Priscilla at Evening Reader. She did a little bit of a rant about book prizes, and I'll link her video below. But in that video, she was largely talking about who decides, who the winner is or what the best, book is, and are they really the best? And so like, let's just use the National Book Award, for example. So like, who decides this is the best American book of the year? And is it really? And I think we kind of know the answer to that in the sense that how many people on BookTube do prediction videos for, the Pulitzer, the Women's Prize, the Booker International, blah, 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 blah. And then the long list gets announced, and it's like pretty much none of the books that people were predicting, right? So I think I think we already have a sense that it's not always the best books that are getting selected on these long lists. And then, again, we go through the rounds when people are disappointed that what they thought were the best books from the long list don't make it onto the short list. So I think we all can agree that not necessarily the best books are being nominated, nor are winning these prizes. And, if you hear people chat about their book prize judging experiences, they very frequently talk about the negotiation and horse trading that goes on. So, I heard someone, I will keep her nameless, saying, oftentimes the winner is the one book that everybody can accept and agree on, right? Because someone's darling, somebody else hated, right? And so the winner ends up being the one book that maybe nobody hated. And so I think we can agree there. I think it was interesting in the comments, a lot of people brought up the point that oftentimes long lists introduce people to books that maybe flew under the radar, or authors that flew under the radar. And I totally agree. So, that is important and valuable. Emran, one of the commenters of Priscilla's video, really talks about book prizes being, judged by tastemakers, right? That it's 3, maybe 5 people being able to put their stamp on somebody's book to say, aha, this book is art, this book is good, right? And then that book gets elevated, right? And people run out and buy it. So that comment really stuck with me, and I totally agree. And I think for people who read maybe 10, 20 books a year, being able to pick up the National Book Award winning book, you're going to be guaranteed a good time, right? It's going to be a good book. It's probably not going to disappoint you, right? And so for that reader, it's a quick way for them to, fall into books that they're generally going to enjoy. I think it's also a way for people to say, aha, I'm a smart reader because I read, the prize winners, right? So again, getting back to that tastemaker, comment, it's a way for a reader to signal to other people that they're smart, they're educated, they're culturally with it, right? So I thought that that was interesting. But, for a lot of us on BookTube, we read a lot more than 10, 20 books. And we are frequently disappointed in these long lists or who the winner of these prizes are. Look at the controversy that's going around, right, regarding the Pulitzer, right? That people are disappointed in the book that won this year, and I'm now blanking on its title. I'll stick an image of it. But for those of us who read a lot more books, I think book prizes are far more irrelevant. And and I think the other thing that Priscilla pointed out that is a feeling that I share, how often on BookTube are people reading like the same 10, 20 books, right? During prize season, there's so much content around people reading books from long lists. And, are so many people reading sort of the big buzzy releases, that it can be kind of frustrating. As a viewer, it's like how, let's use last year as an example, like how many reviews of Demon Copperhead do we all need? And, I read that book too, right? And I love that book too. It's hard not to get sucked in to, the excitement and wanting to be part of the conversation, but I didn't feel like I needed to, I didn't have anything new to say. And I find myself then just skipping through when people do post content about a book like Demon Copperhead, because I was like, okay, I've heard it before, So what am I concluding here? Well, one, I agree with a lot of what Priscilla had to say. And I do think Imran's comment about it's a way to signal your taste, and it's a way for a book prize jury to, be tastemakers. And it also just reminds me that I want to be reading things that people aren't necessarily reading, or more backlist books, more small press books, because more translated works, right? Because I'm often very disappointed by book prize long lists too, and so maybe for me what I want to do is focus on those other categories of books and let others sort of read the long lists and all the buzzy books and just sort of stick with doing my own thing. I don't know. I'm curious. Priscilla, thank you for bringing up the topic, and I'm curious to see if other people will jump in and sort of share their take on book prizes. I suspect a lot of us have sort of love-hate relationships with book prizes. So I'm interested to hear other people's thoughts. Thanks for watching. Thanks for Priscilla for bringing it up.